Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play Podcast, your launch pad for skyrocketing success in real estate investing. I'm your host, Gabe Rodarte, alongside Mark Monroe. We're ready to bring you transformative stories, groundbreaking strategies, and the insider secrets of real estate giants. Get ready to accelerate your investment journey and become a true power player in the world of real estate.
Hello. So, welcome to another episode of Real Estate Power Play. And I am excited because we're going to talk a little bit different than real estate. We're going to talk about AI, and then I'm excited to have John on. I've known John, John, how long have we known each other? About 4, 5, 6 years now, different real estate events.
Yeah, probably 2016, 18 timeframe when we got together.
Yeah, it's actually long. Oh my God, time goes by so quickly. Isn't
Yes,
it?
it does.
I was just sitting there like thinking of like, God, 2015. I'm like, that was 10 years ago. It doesn't even seem like that. So we've known each other almost 10 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. It is. And you're still in Boca, not in South Florida anymore.
So John, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us a little bit about yourself if you don't mind.
Okay. Again, my name is John Misiag. I'm a co-founder of Nexvia AI Consulting. We started this business to support people in various industries, real estate being one of them. My background has been in real estate. I think I bought my first rental property in 1985. Yeah, wow, it's a long time. That was a hobby back then. I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning from the tapes, from all the gurus at that time. But in 2013, during the financial crisis and the rebound, I started a business with my daughter actually, and we started buying, wholesaling, and building a rental portfolio of single family houses. We've gone through different mentors for different things, and we're very pleased with what was going on with our rental portfolio as well as our flips. So, my daughter is very creative, so we were always pushing the envelope on the rental market and the sales market by putting in new features that most people weren't doing at the time. So by now everything's caught up to her designs, but that's okay. It took, we were 5 years ahead of everybody, so that was a good thing. So anyway, lately, knowing what the market has been, how it's been really tough on investors, and we ended up selling our portfolio out a few years ago. Maybe it might have been too early to sell out, but we still sold out at a good profit margin. So right now, we're focused on helping people that are still in that economy, in that market, and we've focused on different small businesses, real estate investors being a primary one because of our background. We acquired properties, we financed properties, we found sellers, we found buyers, we found tenants, and we systemized our whole process. So it was easy for us to move forward in that regard. So in that regard, our real estate pedigree is deep, and we enjoy real estate. We just understand that this market is not the right market, and we understand a lot of investors have concerns about what's going on out there. If you're going to ask anybody out there what's their biggest concern, I would say rising interest rates and the cost of debt is killing property, ROIs right now.
Yeah.
Uh, Hopefully things are going to get better, but right now we don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that jumped into some syndication deals. I know of one that jumped in a couple storage facilities and losing $500,000. I mean, when it's all said and done, it's just they got into it. So what and I see the same pattern as you do is like from when you got into it, 2013, 14, you got into it really is the peak of it is around 2015 to 2020 was multifamily. You got in ahead of time. So you did well with it. And then you got out. So at least you got out before everybody else is stuck with it. And then they all jumped into storage facilities. And now I see them all jumping over to mobile home parks. I purchased, 5 mobile home parks in the last 18 months, but everything coming across to it now, they're getting so many offers now. I'm like, I'm not
Mhm.
touching this stuff. So it seems like they're always looking for the next thing. And you're right. And that's kind of where we kind of reinvent ourselves. You kind of adapt with the times based off of the real estate market. You and I've been in this for a while, so we've seen all these cycles, and you got to know when to step back, hold your capital, when to jump in, and et cetera. But it's exciting. So tell us a little bit about, like, from the real estate investment point of view, how AI that you see it and what are the advantages of it?
Well, as I mentioned, when we were doing this in a decade ago, we were systemizing everything. When I was in the multifamily space, I was working with uh, uh, an analysis person out in California. I'm based here in Central Florida. Many of my sponsors were across the country. Up like one was in Seattle, one was in San Francisco, others in Dallas, and some up in New England. So we had systems in place that we can share information and bounce back and forth on moving offers quickly. Now that AI has come about, things have sped up so much more, and there's so many more tools out there to help us do what we want to do. So let's take an example in the acquisition side. Well, people are having problems finding quality deals. There's a lot of competition out there for any deals that are coming out. So the AI tools that are out there can help with your deal sourcing. It also provides a means to do some data analysis and scoring model analysis, where you can take all the information that you got from a property, a P&L, a rent roll, the OM, and sort through that so quickly that you can come up with a score to say, hey, is this deal or no deal, based on whatever parameters you provided. Everybody has different parameters, so you can't say any one particular opportunity is a deal or no deal. It all depends on how they run their business.
So I got a question on that. You saying everybody's got their own buy box, if you will, they're what they're looking for. So does the AI, like, is it trained individual for that particular investor that you do it with, or is it just kind of a generic? Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, it depends on how you use AI. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, which a lot of people are, it's more the second model, where they're just using any large language model out there that's trained by OpenAI and the universe out there. When you work with people like myself, we train your large language model to what you want, what you're looking for. We know how to talk to AI to get the right answers back out from the model. So if we're going to be working with an investor that has a buy box of, let's say, from a single family house, not older than 1980, 3 bedroom, two baths, 1,500 square feet, quarter acre lot, we would definitely put that as a criteria of when it's looking for things on the MLS or wherever it's scraping the data from. That's what you're looking for. Those type of parameters are better. You won't be getting the 900 square foot, 2 bedroom, zero bath properties. So that's one way to use AI, but there's a lot more ways.
Nice. Now, from a marketing point of view, is AI, like, I get we get deals coming in and we have to feed AI to kind of analyze the deal, but what about from the marketing point of view of, like going out there and getting deals coming in? Will the AI do that, or do you still have to kind of manually do certain things?
No, I mean, I have to say this, rudimentary AI can do anything and everything that we do manually. So yes, they can go out there and market. They can use specific language for sellers and distressed property owners that'll help them understand what you're trying to do to help the seller. So, AI can formulate these email campaigns for you, and AI can actually do outbound calls, now too, but you have to understand the regulations around those. So it's getting to the point where AI are becoming agents and they're doing things on their own, but it takes a lot to get there and a lot of, steps before you can say I have an agency that's outbound calling and answering, inbound calls and, without my involvement. But it's easy to get there. And in the next 2 years, that's going to be pretty much the model out there. You won't have to do as much manual work as you do now. You'll have to still make sure that you're in the loop, making sure AI is not doing something illegal or incorrect. But for the most part, a lot of your manual work, you become more efficient with the AI integrated into your business.
Yeah, I've implemented into my system, dealing with conversations with sellers and buyers through SMS, kind of helping that out, and then automatically looking at my calendar and booking it right on there. But you talked about something that was really slick, and this one blew my mind away. I put this primer of the town in, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for an acre and a half to 5 acres on public water and sewer that I can build 24 units. And what I want you to do is go out there and find out who the owner is. And if it's an LLC, I want you to go to the Secretary of State's website, look up the owner, then cross-reference that, and then look up the owners, look all public databases for phone numbers and email addresses. And then I said, I want you to go ahead and then put it onto a spreadsheet so I can download it. I sat there and I watched that thing for 45 minutes, open browsers and going out and doing all this
Mhm.
stuff, and then
Exactly.
putting it right onto a spreadsheet. And it blew my mind away. It gave all the information of everything that I wanted in a parameter, and then I could use that to go and now that's all I got to. I didn't go really much further than that, but that was pretty wild.
Yeah, well, a lot of people haven't even gotten half that far, so you're doing a real good job. And the thing is, that 45 minutes you sat there and watched it, you could have been doing something else more productive. And
I know,
that's
but I was just being entertained by it. I was just blown away watching it open browsers and doing all this stuff. You know, I was like, what? It's just the
yeah,
first time. But
yeah.
yes, you could do that. And I've heard people do that. Like you can create all these agents and do multitask, like 5 different agents at the same time, and you just walk away and take phone calls. So why don't you tell us a little bit more, some of the other good advantages of it, and what why we should implement AI versus not implementing it.
Well, truthfully, if you start looking into the future, and nobody can says they have a crystal ball, but every week, every month, you're getting stories about the advances in AI. It is changing the whole business climate and the whole business environment. It is getting to the point where unless you know how to use AI, like the scenario you just gave, unless you know how to do that, you're going to be left in the dust from a business standpoint. Your competitors are going to be doing what you do and taking it further, and they're going to be locking down these deals before you even see them. So that's the scary part in some ways. But the good part is, it's not too late to get started. There was an MIT study done recently that took a look at how businesses are implementing AI and whether they're being successful or not. The good part is the ones that have been successful have, generated at least 36%, ROI above and beyond what they were doing prior to AI. The sad part is close to 95% of the implementations have failed. That's a scratching your head point. Like, why did it fail?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you have some ideas why they fail?
Yeah, it wasn't the technology. It was the business itself. It had, issues with leadership and its adoption of AI. It was basically a whole paradigm shift for the organization to integrate AI into their workflows. And they had a lot of employee resistance because they weren't brought up and trained on how to use AI. So, everybody has this barrier to change. Everybody's resistant to change at some point in their life.
It sounds like when Blockbuster could have bought Netflix and they didn't want to do it.
That's a good story. Where
That's what it sounds like.
and that's true. That's exactly where it is. It used to be technologies would, refresh every 5 to 10 years. You'd have a revolution, something that would happen. Think about the 80s when the first PCs started coming out. And look at now, your phone has more power than those PCs from the 80s, which were clunkers. Um, but right now, things are refreshing every 3 months. So,
Crazy. It's
a year from
so
now,
rapid.
a year from now, what's viable today is going to be looked at in the past as old technology. So, yeah, it is fun and scary at the same time, but hey, that's the life we live right now, and things are happening. People are building data centers, and why are they building data centers? Because AI is going to be part of everybody's life.
Well, we'll look at the Nivea stock again today. I don't know if you paid attention to that. It's another all-time high. It's $4.5 trillion cap. The first company ever hit that. It's
Wow.
just insane, isn't it?
Wow.
So Yeah, and you're hitting the nail on the head, these data centers. And 6 months ago, I started buying stocks in these small power plants, like these mini nuclear power plants that are going to be self-sustained at these AI centers. So it is just crazy. But I don't want to talk about our age here, but most people at our age, if they don't adapt to this, they're going to get left behind, and these younger generations are going to just come along and just steamroll and take over the whole real estate industry. Us good old boy networker days are going to be gone, long gone.
Yeah. I remember when I first came and started doing auctions in this particular county. And walking in, you saw the good old boy network. You know who was allowed to bid, basically. You know who was always outbid. You saw that in play. And technology today, that kind of kills that. Because you don't see who's in the room. You don't, unless you know somebody's login ID, you don't know who you're bidding against. So things are definitely changing. Platforms are causing, things to move faster and more efficient, and that's great for us. I mean, that is great for us. Um, Getting back to like the real estate, market, there are major parts of the real estate aspect of anybody, an investor. Somebody has to buy the property, somebody has to manage the property, somebody has to sell the property. Every one of those key components in management goes to, the maintenance as well as the tenant acquisition and, reports and so on. Every one of those functions can be, supplemented with AI to be faster and better. A friend of mine right now is in the process over 6 months now of trying to liquidate a property and trying to figure out the payouts to all the investors. And it's a manual process, phone calls. I hear them, negotiating basically versus, saying, here it is, laid out mathematically with the formulas that AI could have easily have done for them, starting when they first bought the property. So every issue, you think about what it is you do. Even seller finance has its own issues. Even getting finance has its own issues. Trying to go through your emails. I mean, how many emails do you actually get a day from lenders?
It's crazy. I kind of hit spam, spam, spam now. It's because it's overwhelming. You know what I mean?
Uh, so wouldn't it be helpful instead of you doing that, which is probably what most people do, to have AI tool kind of screen through those to see which ones are viable offers for you? Because I know I've had horror stories of people, that are a day or away from the settlement table, and all of a sudden the lender backs out. Lender backs out, and you're really stuck because who's going to underwrite you in one day? But guess what? There are companies that are using AI that can actually do that. I was in a conversation about it 2 weeks ago with a gentleman. He says he can take all their information, bank statements, so on, OMs, the whole works, and within an hour make a lending decision.
Yep. I remember back in the day, when I had my mortgage, when I had 107 loan officers back. It used to be the old school day, like 1 times 30, 2 times 30. The credit, how many lates are on the mortgage, and then was it A, B, C, D, and then you go to underwriting, manually underwrite it, and then like, oh come on, man, I need a better score than that. Can you? And they'll like go ahead and slide it in. Nowadays they can't do that, because of the
Yeah,
AI and
but
AI.
you get notified like within an hour versus 3 weeks down the road, right?
Well, you see that what they're getting ready to do in baseball. They're getting ready to roll out, they're testing AI in baseball of doing all the calls now of like everything, and it's
Right there.
running like they're doing the pitches, like the AI is going to determine if it's a strike or not, or if they're safe or not. That's crazy what that's going down that path.
I hear you. Hey, I've been talking more about AI in our businesses, but when you think about and step back and look at the whole environment, the robots, the cars, the flying, vehicles, all self-driven, um, you're going to have a maid in your house, probably in 2 years that'll do all the cleaning and stuff, and it probably costs you $300 to buy that robot.
Yep.
And you'll train it like how you want things done, how you like things cooked, the whole works.
I was watching something on social media recently that, for at the moment $900, that you put your legs into and it walks for you. Like
I
if you want
saw
to go
that one too yesterday.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it's
It,
great for us old folks.
but it also will help people go upstairs and all that stuff. Is just kind of like, wow. And I'm looking forward to AI. Like, I don't know. I think our bodies are too far gone, but AI now is going to be able to, like, people in their 30s are going to live to about 130 because of the AI picking up certain things internally. So I'm excited about it. And it's exciting, but at the same time, it's scary. You know what I mean? It's like, but you got to embrace it. But the regulations, I don't know what's going to happen. It's at some point, something's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Some point, something's going to happen. But the thing is, kind of getting back to, this conversation about where we are. We talked about our real estate, but the thing is, there's a lot of companies out there that need this kind of support. Marketing is marketing, lead generation is lead generation, whether it be for a lawyer's office, a property management company, a dentist office, or anybody related in the finance business, wealth management. So AI is going to definitely support doing things better, faster, and cheaper. And that's why, I've spent a lot of time educating myself and ramping up the business of consulting, which I started well, I can't say pre-real estate because I wasn't a consultant in 85. I was a consultant in 2000.
So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So what you're consulting in the AI, what's that look like? Like if I want to bring you into my entity, my company, what's that process look like?
Well, first and foremost, we go through an assessment of what you're trying to get accomplished. What is your biggest pain today? What would help, increase revenue for your company, regardless whether it be real estate or professional services or a healthcare organization. So we would work with you to do an assessment of what what your company is doing, what are your workflows, and focus on trying to prioritize how we can, slowly integrate AI or automations into improving in your efficiencies. Our primary focus, and again, from my management consulting, in 2000, is strategy. We develop strategies for you to move forward. This could be a 3-year strategy of taking, what you do today, revolutionize it, improve it, and then maybe get it into an agentic type of system where it does a lot more for you. So our philosophy is human first. We're not out there to replace your employees. We're out there to make them more effective and efficient. We want them to provide more value to your organization so you can add value to your market shares of whatever you do. We talk a lot about real estate because I know you're a real estate investor. I'm an investor too. But when I was doing my management consulting, it wasn't real estate I focused on. It was process improvement, people improvement. So our organization has developed not only the strategy and alignment assessments, but we also are providing training, and the training focuses on your mindset. It focuses on the changing paradigm that we're facing right now, moving into the AI, assisted world. So we help companies educate their employees on what's coming, how to use it, how to become more valuable to the company, and create more value for themselves. And then we also implement technologies throughout the various workflows, be it and we look at seven, the 7 major areas in the company, from leadership all the way down to the actual operations or customer service aspects. So we can touch and improve on any area that needs the most improvement to start with.
So, so I've seen this many times, and I actually had a business at one time, and I kind of saw it, but when you have a business partner, they kind of like always want to control certain things. But it seems like a lot of times companies get to a point where they're like 15 to like 20, 24 people and they get stuck. They can't grow any further than that. What do you think that is? Why is that? Does that make sense what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
question?
I mean, you've heard this expression probably 1,000 times before. We've always done it that way. Bingo, right there. We've always done it that way. Nobody's looking for innovation. Nobody's looking for change. Nobody's looking to say, hey, how can we do this better? How can we do this more effectively? How can we scale our business? Because I ran into a couple of people I've talked to who say, I should be bigger than I am now. I'm just, at this plateau. And it goes down to, what can you do? And that's what we're there to provide advice for your business for. Be it automating, customer service, being more engaging, getting more contacts, being more visible, improving the way, things flow within your business from one department to another. Again, I even remember, I hate to go back to real estate, but I even remember how long it took sometimes to get an LOI out because you have to do the analysis, you have to validate the numbers, you have to do this, you have to do that, go out and find missing pieces of work, and that was all time consuming. So you get a statement of work, an offering put out there, and they give you like 2 weeks to turn around an LOI, and it's taking you 2 weeks to get all the information to put an LOI together.
It's true. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's, another thing that kind of resonate with me is I had another business and we had roughly, I think we had about 20, 21 employees. Yeah, we had 21 employees. I'm sorry, back up. We had 41 employees.
Okay.
And yeah, we had 41 employees. And what we did is we doubled it. We took on another whole space. We're
Hmm.
up to like 85 employees. But what was bizarre is my partner and we didn't make any more money. Even though we doubled it with the more expenses and more employees, doubled the revenue, but we didn't take any more money, and that is probably because we didn't have the right efficiencies in place during that
Hmm.
process to be able to generate more revenue. Yes, the company generated revenue, but then the expenses were kind of matching it, if not exceeding it.
Yeah. And that is a challenge. So one of the good things and one of the things that we try to focus on when we talk to clients and potential clients is we understand you have a pain. We understand you want to resolve that pain as soon as possible. We understand that you're aware of AI and you've heard about this tool or that tool or so on, and you want to implement that tool to fix your pain. But if you step back a little bit and look at the whole picture, not only can you fix that pain, but you could also maybe fix a lot more and grow a lot faster if you're looking at the bigger picture and assessing the business as a business, not just that one pain point.
Uh,
So
So, so as a business owner, what are some of the questions I should ask myself? Like, I need AI, like at what level? Like you talked about it in the beginning, quite frankly, if you're not adapting, you're falling behind. But,
mhm.
like somebody listening to this and they have a business and, like, I don't know, do I do AI or do I not do AI? Like, what are some of the questions like if as a business owner they should think about?
Well, the first thing is what keeps them up at night? What keeps them up? Because that's a challenge, that's a problem that's they're thinking about and they're trying to figure out how to solve that problem. Um, Holistically, if you are looking at your business and take a real serious analysis of it, you know, are you integrating technology as best as possible? Are you looking at your processes and your workflows to see what you can cut, what you can streamline, what you can eliminate? And those are the kind of things that, AI will help you do more effectively or efficiently, or, replace a whole process. Um, you know, every business is different, and you know that just from your own experience. Everybody has a different way to run their business. And the bottom line is, I saw this saying today, to be successful, you have to go through a lot of failures. And failures is our lifestyle. We try something that fails. We try something else, we fail. Just like that MIT study I mentioned, 95% of businesses are failing in their within, the 6 months they're not generating the ROI they expected because they didn't step back and say, what do I need to have in place to be able to do this and be successful? So,
That's a big one that you said right there. If you're not, I
yeah.
always tell when I'm teaching people, if you're not failing, you're not learning. It's the
Mhm.
bottom line. Look at Elon Musk with SpaceX, how many times he failed, and then he finally succeeded in and they wanted to fail on purpose so they can learn from their mistakes. But yes, that's a great one.
And then on top of that, and this is a good lesson to learn from him, is even when something being successful, if it's not going to meet the business goals that you set out, you have to pivot and change course. And that's what he's doing. He's doing that. He has a successful Falcon 9 rocket that is launching, 30 miles north of me. I can hear or see it whenever it launches. But that's not his future. He's going to a different future, a different rocket, a different plan because then Falcon 9 was not going to get him to Mars. And he knew it, so he pivoted.
Yep.
So that's why I like working with those type of CEOs and senior leadership, that they look at their business and their business goals, what value they're bringing to the market, and how they're bringing them to the market. And then if they're seeing things that aren't, aligned with that, then it's time to pivot and time to, strike out in the right direction.
Nope. I like it. So we're coming to an end here. So before I ask how people can reach you, is there a question that I didn't ask you that I should have asked?
You covered a lot of good points, but this conversation can go on forever because the world is changing so rapidly. You don't know what questions to ask tomorrow, today. So
True.
the thing is, what I've run across a lot of people in different businesses. Sometimes they're more concerned about cost than value. They're more concerned about cost than investing. AI is, you got to look at it as an investment. It is an investment into your business. It's an investment into your future. It's an investment into your employees. So when you're trying to look at cutting nickels and dimes, you're not looking at it the proper way. You're looking at, saving money instead of investing money to grow. And best thing to do is, think about what your issues and what your problems are. More importantly, what your business goals are to, figure out how to talk to a consultant like myself.
Nice, nice. Speaking about talking to you, like, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you besides listening to this podcast? We'll end up posting all your information at the bottom, but if they're listening and they're driving right now, what's the best way of them to reach out to you?
They can reach out to me through my website, which is www.nexvia.com, spelled Nexxvia.com. There's schedule a call with me, and you'll see my availability on the calendar, and then we'll get together and talk to see what issues you're facing, what I think might be able to move forward with to help them. Again, understanding, small businesses have smaller budgets, middle-sized businesses have middle budgets. The thing is, what are you trying to get accomplished? If you're trying to grow and give the people that work for you a good life, then the investment you make in AI and making your business sound and future ready is a good investment. Um, I've seen statistics saying that within the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of businesses are going to fail that have not adopted AI in one sense or another. I don't like to be the fear monger, but I keep hearing that. But I'm more on the positive side. So if you do adapt AI, you'll have a greater set of returns for your business and more success. We try to do things small to pilot things, so we minimize failures. But there are some times that things don't work the way you anticipated. So you have to be
Yep.
realistic.
Yeah, I can't, just from my past experience with AI. I even got my other half on AI now, and even my a friend of ours on he's like 75 and he's a big day trader, and he's going through all the stocks and looking what Blackstone, or is it Blackstone or BlackRock, looking, and
Right.
I'm like, all right, let's just plug in the AI, and the AI just go ahead and produced a whole entire list of all the companies that he wanted to look at. So, and you have to embrace it. If not, I mean, I don't even the only time I use Google now is when I'm looking for directions or looking for a location, but I'm using AI for everything in my research. I went and took a photo, like, in my refrigerator, and I've been looking for 2 years. I had a shelf that broke. I've been looking for 2 years. I could never find it. I went and took a photo of the model and serial number, loaded the AI, and said, "Find this item for me," in the link, found it in seconds.
Hey,
you know.
I also hear trade people are using AI that way too. You have a problem with a washer or dryer or a refrigerator, you plug the model in, tell them what the problem is, and boom, they'll tell you what the potential problem solution is. So it's out there helping. But the thing is, I have to make it clear, AI is not smart. It's predictive. It takes data that has been fed, and predicts what you want to hear. So sometimes you're going to get bad answers unless you train the AI model to what you need done. So if you're in a refrigerator repair business, you train it on all the different models that you support. And then this way, it'll give you the right answers when you say, hey, I have a Frigidaire and the blower stopped working. What do I do? So it's there to help us.
Nice. Well, John, thank you so much. Now, you mentioned earlier, we're going to put some links at the bottom of wherever people are listening to
Mhm.
this podcast on. If you're watching the video or listening to, we'll have John's information, but also you're going to provide an ebook that somebody can download as well.
We have two ebooks. One's a free ebook, one's a paid ebook that we are releasing this Friday. So I will give you the ebook links for them. One is again just talking about ChatGPT 5 that was just released a few weeks ago and has problems and issues, and we talk about how to address those. The other ebook is more of a workbook on AI implementation for small businesses. It's a good resource to at least understand what needs to be done, and provide some guidance and some workbooks to answer questions about are you ready for it. So yeah, those ebooks I'll give you the links for so people can download whichever one they want, the free book or the paid book.
Perfect. And one more time, what's your website again?
Nexvia, NEXXVIA.com.
Perfect. John, can't thank you enough. It's always enjoy sit down. We're always traveling. I'm always driving up to Ormond Beach. We grab coffee. You're getting ready to, where are you heading off to?
I'm heading over to Asia. So
Nice.
2 more days.
Nice.
So I did
Nice.
appreciate the time on your podcast, and I always get your texts and your links to different things. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Real Estate Power Play. If you like what you hear, please share, like, and if there's anything that you want us to talk about in an episode, please reach out. So thank you guys so much and be well.